Wow. The P&G alumni, you guys operate. That was quick. That was quick to silence. Very. Stewardship really goes hardcore. Hi everybody, I'm Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm the chairman of VaynerX. I just wanted to thank everybody for convening here for the third year. This is always one of my favorite highlights. It's a real testament to P&G. You know, building my company for the last 14 years, I often talk to the team about like the relationships they'll have with each other in the future and what it means. And it's really been an honor to team up with Jim and this whole program. Just watching how all of you interact with each other is really nice. You know, there's business and all that stuff, but then there's just like real life humanity, and no question, and many of the things I see different than others in the ad world, the one thing I definitely agree with is some of the best friends you'll ever make and some of the best relationships you will ever have is through this journey. And I truly believe this is the physical manifestation of that for me personally every year. And so honestly, that's kudos to the org, it's kudos to all of you, and I really wanted to welcome all of you here again. We're about to have a very lovely conversation with some of your team. Oh, the blue is nice. Raquelle brought it tonight. We're about to have a lovely combo, but I just wanted to welcome everybody. I hope everybody has a tremendous week. Tonight, if there's anything that you're wrapping up with, by far the other favorite part I have is 10 p.m. to 2 o'clock in the morning here on the boat. So if you got energy tonight and want to do some networking, there's a lot of great people that are coming through tonight. Please let us know if you'd like to stop by. We'll make sure you get on the list. And without further ado, Raquelle, take it away.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's clap it up.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Gary, Andrea, and team. This has been a great collaboration. We're really excited to have our alums here on the boat. This is our third Cannes reunion, and looking forward to many more. I'm Raquelle Zuzarte, founder and CMO at Equity, and today we have a really meaty topic. We know that AI has been used as a word multiple times in the last 24 hours, 48 hours here at Cannes, and today we're actually going to dissect it into what it really means for you and your team in terms of your skills, your capability, your behavior, and your mindsets. And it's based on an AI for Personas piece that I wrote recently that actually says that marketers can no longer be one-dimensional. And today we have more than one-dimensional marketers. We have omni-dimensional marketers, marketers who are data virtuosos, marketers who understand and ask the right questions when it comes to technology, how to be a technology alchemist, marketers who understand the importance of relationships, relationship with your customer, relationship within your company to act as catalysts. Marketers who understand that change is an igniter, and you have to have that intrinsic to what you do. And most importantly also, marketers who really get the rigors of financial acumen and what governance means. Very accomplished marketers. Here we have Nigel Tita Reed, who is the Chief Brand Officer and Experience Officer at Mars Pet Care. Welcome, Nigel. We have lots of fans. And next to Nigel is Jen Chase, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at SAS. Welcome, Jen. And last but never least is our wonderful Michelle Croissant-Matos, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at Ulta Beauty. So we have a very powerful panelists of strong leaders here. And very often, the first question, we were talking back there, about what people want to know. And really, at the end of the day, you want to know, how do they get here? And I would love to ask them to spend, just a minute talking about their journey, but also reflecting on those 5 personas that I mentioned. How their career has been shaped by their knowledge and their demonstration of skills in data, in tech, in relationships, change, financial acumen, and governance, how those factors have influenced their journey, and what are the key propellants, accelerants that have driven them to where they are today. Let's start with Nigel. Of course, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Quite a question, Raquelle. You're always so great as a moderator. Thank you for having me. Yeah. Gary, thank you for hosting us. It's really a pleasure to be here. So when I think about the journey here, it all started with what many of us have in common, which is the day we decided that we were going to finally leave the mother and father that we raised us, called P&G. There was that moment where you have to decide whether you're going to stay for life or you want to journey out and explore the other side. And so that was a big one. But I think just being at P&G, we all have such a common and amazing skill set that probably is very data-based without us probably realizing it until we left P&G, how data-based we actually all were. Because you couldn't get an idea done or approved at P&G without proving it first. And so I don't think I necessarily recognized that I was data and very human. And so that notion of data and gut is something I think all of us probably have in common. But coming out, I think the journey for me was one of a variety of different skills that I wanted to put in my toolbox. I went into advertising, an advertising agency. I went to go to healthcare, human healthcare, to food, to technology, and then where I am at Mars Pet Care. But throughout that, when you tie it to the personas you just shared, I think from an advertising standpoint, it was definitely human-centric and being able to really make sure everything was fully grounded in insight. Joining human healthcare, I was the head of global strategy at Merck and then a general manager at Bayer and Merck, and I believe that the financial acumen was very important for you to understand how you make decisions, and obviously it was P&L and purpose tied together. Within food, I think it was, what was your third person? Maybe relationships, and being able to understand that relationships are so personal, so driven by food. People eat together, it's very relational, and if you can't show food in context, at least with human food, and often you could say with pet food as well, it is critical. And then I moved to technology, which was once, I think, a combination of all three. I was CMO for Logitech, and when I think about that, it required all of those different skills. Now that I'm at Mars Pet Care, I'm using all of them. I mean, Mars Pet Care is the largest pet company in the world, and I feel very honored to be able to work with great people like Natalia, who is the head and the chief growth officer for pet nutrition, for JP Jansen back there, who's the head of North America CMO, and for Ikdeep Singh, who's the president of pet nutrition. We've got multiple different P&G alumni that we just happen to be there, but I think common purpose, common data, common relationships that we use to do our job.
Absolutely. An ambidextrous career based on a great university called P&G. Jen, tell us about your experiences.
Sure, and I feel like I have to do a confessional first because I am the one person here who's not from P&G. So please don't throw me off the ship yet. Know that I have huge career envy, and know that in my role when we're hiring, people with P&G float to the top. So great decisions by you. I wish I could turn back my career a little bit and have followed some of the steps that you all have done here. So in my role, it's a little bit about my journey in those personas. For those of you that don't know SaaS, we're a software company, data and AI. And so when I think about those personas, data is our love language. We don't do anything without being able to prove it through the data. So very early on, I felt like I've got that education in data and how to apply it in a way to actually accomplish the objectives that we want to be able to. From a technology perspective, of course, SaaS is a technology company. I started off in a communications role, and then over the course of my career, and I've been there for 25 years, which makes me feel old, and I know you're thinking, wow, did she start when she was 10? Yes, I did. But I had stints not only in communications, I went over into the R&D organization. I learned how we built products and how we brought those to market, how we listened to our customers, and the technology that was required to do that. I spent time in sales, so really got to understand what are the challenges, how do we deal with objections in a sales situation. And then I spent time in customer service. So what do we do post-sale in order to support our customers and make them loyal. So I think it's been that journey. For me, it's been more of a lattice than a ladder within marketing. Have tons of envy for, like I said, you all here with a P&G experience and having multiple different industry experience. So that's something that I get through the interactions we have with our clients. So a little bit of background about me. Thank you for letting me stay on the boat for just a few more minutes.
Okay. You are now formally part of the family.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so good to see you all. I'm going to speak really fast because I know we've got a lot to cover. But the good thing is most of you know me. So you've either been to my wedding or I've been to your wedding. Filippo, where are you? I'm here. We are a deep family. So yeah, it's really beautiful. So thank you for having us. And thank you, everyone, for being an awesome family. Isn't it just so beautiful to have this? Right, so I started in IT, and I tell you that's important. Filippo and I, we rolled out SAP in beauty care. So it comes full circle, because guess what? Now I'm in beauty care, and I can now talk about robotics and automation because we did this. And so it's just such a beautiful thing. So 5 years in IT, and then I moved over to the dark side. The dark side, how could brand be dark? But I did that, and obviously I had multiple assignments, London, Geneva, all sorts of places. But then I left and joined private equity. And then I quickly moved into Samsung. And there's where I was overseeing corporate strategy and transformation. Then at one point, I was overseeing product innovation. And then at one point, I became the CMO of the US business. And then after 8 years in Samsung and learning how to truly do innovation at the speed of lightning, I then joined Ulta Beauty. So now I oversee e-commerce as well as in marketing. And what is really important, all those years of working in IT, supply chain, did a little bit of sales, did a little bit of marketing, corporate strategy, it now gives me a real opportunity to contribute and add value to the company. And so God bless and thank you, P&G, for giving those opportunities. But the one thing I do reflect, and there's one thing that everyone could do, see all those amazing skills that we have, they are useless if we don't move faster. We gotta move faster. P&G people, we're so thoughtful, we're so strategic. So that's my one big thing. After 20 years, I wish they taught us that. I wish there was a ABM college and how to be 10 times faster. Anyway, there's a provocative thought.
Okay, let me build on that. You know, we heard really some common themes, right? Have a variety of experience across functions, get deep in terms of skill sets, as Nigel mentioned on financial acumen. This change, artificial intelligence, is like nothing we've ever seen in humanity, right? So we had the invention of the wheel, electricity, and fire, and what happened was we understood it, we harnessed its power, we scaled it, it became cheaper over time. AI's power accelerates and changes in itself. And it is one where, to your point about speed, is not only of the essence, it is for survival. So it's going to be critical across all business functions, specifically marketing, where we're talking about today, to be quick, to be agile, and to respond and anticipate changes before they happen. The oil that helps us do that is data. And across the three industries we have represented here, in pet care and insights and beauty, each of you have done some extraordinary work around capitalizing on data. Specifically, let's start with beauty, Michelle, with the Glam Lab and all the great, customer experience tools, your retail, in-store media, the data you're collecting from those, your 600 brands. Tell us about how the data role as oil has helped you get closer to the customer.
All right, so big picture, if you step back and you think about our business model, our flywheel, our ecosystem is really centered around the fact that we have one of the largest loyalty programs in the States. Kelly Mahoney, she runs it. We've got around about 44 million active loyalty members. 96% of all purchases that go through Ulta Beauty are done through our loyalty members. Okay, so step back. If you're a business, you've got all that, and you have 600 brands that want to be in your retail space, it's about monetizing that data. And it's about using that data so they can build their own brands. So I'm talking about it from a corporate strategy viewpoint, that data really is the center of our flywheel. Then, of course, you've got consumer experience. Naturally, I can talk about virtual try-on and how wonderful that is. For me, I think that's secondary. I think the heart and soul of it, all of us here, we're here to create value for our companies and take them to the next level of growth. So you've got to create that flywheel and that ecosystem, and data is your source to do it.
All right, and Jen, data is your business. And insights is your business. And I was talking to you, I remember SAS back in my days studying economics and using it for modeling. You have created some really smart ways to harness the power of AI with your packaged AI models and Data Via across so many different sectors. So how are you making it synthesized? How are you making it more simplified for your customers?
Yeah, and so what you're speaking about there, we've recently, SAS has been doing data and AI. I mean, we think about how much generative AI is capturing the hype cycle today, but AI is more than generative AI, and actually generative AI is more than LLM. So it's a really complex and actually has a lot of history to it. So we've been doing AI for a while. And part of that is we create models. We work with our customers to create models, whether it's we work with Ulta Beauty, yes, the loyalty program, to create a model to predict consumer behavior. Maybe we're creating a model that's testing the efficacy of a drug that's going to go to market. So what we're deciding, or what we've done now, is said we're going to package those models and offer them off the shelf. So usually that's an engagement, something that's a little bit more sophisticated, but off the shelf, and in a way that you know that it is going to be safe, it's going to be bias-free, and it's going to be compliant. And so we're actually providing this thing called a model card, which is like an ingredient label or nutritional label for a model. So it tells you, do you have accurate data? Are you missing maybe some data that might make you make a biased decision that you don't realize? We feel like that's an opportunity where we're all going to be responsible for the AI that we apply, but we all might not be technologists. So how do we make sure we're making that a little bit easier for everybody who's using AI?
Absolutely. And with Mars Pet Care, and then if you think of data, there's so many ways that P&G, we always learned how to put things in frameworks, right? So we have, the lead metrics, the lag metrics, and there's data that actually will tell you about the performance of your marketing campaign, and there's data that informs your product, your actual product itself. I'm very interested in hearing about your pet care product around detection of cancer in pets that has used a plethora of data points to get to a solution. How does that work within the company?
It's a very specific question. So let me make sure you context. I've been with Mars Pet Care for 6 months, but I am very proud of the work that the organization is doing to leverage AI in meaningful ways. And so I just first give a little context or framework, which is that when you think about pet care and the relationship that we have with pets. We have many things that we care about, but we know that people are more and more humanizing pets as they've gone from outside to our doorstep, to our living room, to our bedroom, to our full-on bed where we knock over our spouses to cuddle with our cats or dogs. And so they play a very important role in our life. And because of that, we either want to make sure of the continuum of the pet care journey that we're picking and selecting the right pet, that we are keeping that pet healthy, that we are preventing any type of disease or illness, and that, quite frankly, as humans do, that we are concerned about the longevity of our pets. And Ikdeep said it so well earlier today, that we really want to we really, in our heart of hearts, want our pets to live as long as we do, and it's one of the top concerns that we have as pet parents. And so that is, when we think about AI, it's how do we help at every point in that pet journey is something that we consider. But specifically, Mars Pet Care has both nutrition, which is pet food, and we have care, which we own hospitals and signs and diagnostics around the world, and many people don't know we are that large as the largest pet care business. And specifically for cancer, we're working to develop first one of the biggest pet genomes, to decode the pet genome like they're doing for humans. We're doing that for pets. We're doing it open source so we can share that with the entire world, because we really do want to make the world better for pets. So we're not doing it just for ourselves, but we believe that if we can do this well, we can prevent disease, and we absolutely can help prevent cancer. With the science and AI, we're able to move faster than we've ever moved before. We're able to detect things like kidney disease even 2 years earlier than we've ever been able to do. And I think we're on our way to preventing some of the diseases that impact our pets and our lives the most.
Thank you for sharing that. It's so great to hear about how each of you are using AI, across different aspects of the marketing journey. I want to ask you about getting change to happen in the organization as relationship managers or as relationship catalysts, like we call. Some of these investments require a green light from your CFO. Some of them require your CIO to be on board. So what are the things you're doing to nurture those important internal stakeholders and also at the same time nurture your relationships with your customers. I know your 44 million is very impressive, and there are certain things that Ulta is doing to keep that relationship going. So either an example from internal stakeholders or external, talk to us about how you're managing that.
I can answer that quickly, right? So we have 600 brands, and they all want to build their brands. They're, in our space, and so being able to pull data from multiple sources and help them with their lineup, their assortment. So I might not be building the product, but I'm actually advising them on which lineup they should have, which SKU, which month, and how they should position it. So that for me is like it's a deal breaker because we're all brand builders. That's what we. But imagine you have 600 brands. And so AI is the unlock to be a brand builder of 600 brands.
Yeah, I can maybe take it from an internal perspective. So I'm a B2B marketer, and probably about 3 years ago, we realized we over-indexed on performance marketing, and we were plateauing, and we really needed to invest in our brand. And a lot of B2B marketers are facing the same challenge right now. I think we've been so mid to mostly lower funnel focused that we're not accomplishing the objectives that we need to as an industry. So I'm really excited with the attention that B2B is finally getting. It's like a renaissance that's happening right now. But for me to be able to do that, I had to have a better relationship with our CFO. And the relationship building there, how we first started off with, let's have a conversation about metrics. Like, and his argument to me was, you're using too many vanity metrics. Like, these are activity metrics. How does this impact the business? So we had to teach our marketers how to have a conversation about marketing impact that's truly P&L oriented. And then I needed to teach the CFO and the finance team, this is what marketing metrics mean. Like, so let's speak each other's language. And so I think that like just translation layer was missing for us. I also think that, as a result of that, where I've moved from having a really transactional relationship with my finance partner to now we are strategic. We're talking about future investments. He actually advocates for me when I'm not in the room, which was not happening prior to this initiative. So I do think the CFO relationship, particularly for B2B, is one that needs some love, some TLC.
Can I be provocative a little bit? Yeah. Marketing KPIs should not just be sales. Market share. Like, I think we need to kind of get out of our own silo. And if we start talking, this will drive sales, that's when people sign a check. Yeah. Right? So, sorry.
Yeah. And the only thing I'd say, since you're definitely in the room with the best brand builders in the world, if you need to hire, they're all here. But I would say that sales is not sufficient from building a brand, because you can build sales in a very unhealthy way that doesn't sustain your brand long term. But you do need sales, but I think you also need metrics that make sure you do it in a healthy manner that you can keep the lifetime value of a consumer. But I would just compliment your point.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I didn't say the CSO. I didn't go immediately to my chief sales officer. I actually went to the CFO because he understood the long-term brand equity, how that's going to drive sustainable growth, where my CSO is thinking, this year, what kind of revenue are you going to get me this year, right? And so I think there's that different time frame that if you can get the CFO to understand that and understand the value of brand, then you're going to unlock dollars.
Just to your point about change, and I think especially we talk about our CFO and how we're doing it, I think it's really important that we ground ourselves in the difference between change and transformation. They are two totally different things, and I think they require two totally different skills. Many of us have been taught to do change management and lead the change, and that's doing what we're doing at a faster pace, and by all means, we definitely need to do that, to Michelle's point. And we need to work faster and change, but I don't think change is going to be sufficient in the world of AI. Transformation is something that requires you to change. Transformation is something that requires us to change the way we're organized, the way that we're thinking. Often with transformation, we actually know how to get there. It's not knowing what you don't know, and I think that is definitely where we all are when it comes to AI. And so teaching people to do change management is not going to be sufficient for AI. I think we need to teach more transformation and teach people how to lead transformation, which is being comfortable with ambiguity, not being the smartest person in the room, being able to ask better questions. It's a different skill set, and it's one that if we master it, I think we'll be able to tackle and have AI support us versus us all working for AI. And when it comes to the CFO, I think it's a very, very important relationship. It's one that has, I think, the most tension among people who are chief marketing officers or in this world that many of us are in on this panel. Our chief marketing officer at Mars Pet Care has been the greatest advocate for transformation, and we have instead of changing in order to grow at Mars Pet Care, we actually understood what transformation was, and our whole mission and strategy is to transform the experience of pet ownership, which is a very lofty goal. But to do that requires AI clearly is going to be an enabler for us to transform an experience, and something that is super exciting and motivating, but it's a very different skill than change for us to get there.
Absolutely good point. And there's proof in this point. On Monday, Mars Pet Care won a Grand Prix.
Yes, congratulations to the team that won that award who's here. Yes.
That leveraged AI in a very, very novel way to create storytelling that caught the heart of people. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yes, I will do my attempt. It's hard with Natalia in the room because she was, but I will say that this is an example of AI. So I know that you all don't care about pet nutrition as much as I do, but when you think about how do we leverage it, I'll give you the tenets because it's what's replicable. Not the campaign was amazing and is amazing, but. First and foremost, we created a campaign called Adoptables. We did 2 of them that was based in AI was a huge enabler for, but it's called Adoptables, so look it up. And one of our premise is around how do we create mutual value, and a mutual value platform that we have for a brand named Pedigree, which is the largest dog food brand in the world, $4 billion. It really is around how do we of course, provide the world with good food, but also do good, okay? And part of that is around ending pet homelessness, which is a major problem around the world. Okay, so that's the premise, so you guys get it from the brand and what we care about. How we used AI was to say, okay, if we could reduce the notion of the dogs that are in shelters in a very compelling way to still create awareness and still drive sales, it would be a game changer. And so we used AI to actually geolocate the different dogs at different dog shelters around the world, okay? And so, the dog shelters, you just have to identify the dog. We use AI to then take pictures of them and basically give them a glow up, if you want to be honest. Give them a glow up and put them in our ad. So every ad that you see has an actual dog that wants to be adopted in a shelter. Better than that, AI allows us to move at the speed of light and be able to, you're looking at an ad and view this more as outdoor, right? So you're walking down the street, you see a dog, you see a QR code, you see our advertising, you can do the QR code, see that dog, adopt that dog. As soon as the dog is adopted, the picture changes. And so it is absolutely amazing. And so we started New Zealand. We got to give credit to BBDO, our partner, since we're at Cannes, and we couldn't have done it without them. And so that's the campaign. But I will say, because this is about building our capability, there are a couple things that we should take note. For one, this team, and JP and Natalia and Igti were the ones that supported and sponsored this amazing work, really gave their agency some money, some time to test and learn this and figure out a way we could leverage AI to deliver our creative and our mission. And that space is something that's going away. We're all becoming so efficient and so effective, we've lost the ability to test and learn. And this idea came from that space that we did. We also did major agility and became very humble as a marketing team. Our global brand leader, whose name is Fabio, worked with the agency hand in hand, met 3 times a week to figure out how AI could work in a relevant way, in a very uncomfortable, very vulnerable, not I have my brief and you go get this done. It was, we don't know how we're going to get here, but let's figure it out together. And that playing in the sandbox is also something that's at risk of being lost when we become so big in our jobs that we give the brief and we just expect brilliance to come back. It does require real collaboration in this unknown world of how to use AI, especially with the compliance challenges that we all have. Legal, ethical, if they're not your friend on AI, we won't be doing anything in this industry. So they were all at the table together in the sandbox. And then of course Brilliance came out, but I don't want to make it sound like poof, we just had a Cannes Lion, but poof, we did.
Congratulations. There's always so much work backstage before the performance, it unfolds you when you're watching it. So that is a fabulous example. And, we are always struggling with the theme of the and or the or, this and this, right? So you mentioned our status quo normally is hurry up and get things done and don't have that luxury of time. It's always about show me the short-term results versus the long-term, right? It's about, okay, I understand purpose, but I need profit, right? There's always a dichotomy of things that you have to manage. So when it comes to your leadership style in this world of having to be ambidextrous, right? Having to juggle these two states. How do you think AI is going to help you? How do you think AI is going to help you be the and person? Short-term growth and long-term brand growth, right? Test and learn and results that are agile and quick. That requires, to point Nigel you were making, is a new type of skill set as a transformational leader. Ability to think, to be lateral, to take risks, to get allies on the way. Can you share with me, Michelle, examples perhaps of where you've had to straddle those two streams?
Well, I mean, Michelle and I used to work in Samsung together. That was a classic place for that, right? Where we always knew what our North Star was, but boom, boom, we had to really move very, very fast. Now that I'm in retail, it's a whole different ballgame from building a brand. So we won't have a long-term future if I don't have a good quarter. It's a new reality, and I love that experience. So as a corporate strategist now, I'm able to flex, okay, that's a North Star. I've got to make these quick little pivots because I have gazillions of data points now telling me this brand is really hot, this is trending, So I'm able to pivot. But the corporate strategist in me is going, yeah, there's your North Star. And we're very good at knowing, no, you're crossing the line there. There's guardrails there. So I definitely think that's something that goes back to my original point. Speed is not the enemy of strategic thinking. Speed is required for us to be the next CEO. And if we don't get that with corporate strategy, the ability to think, the ability to brand build, I think we'll hit a limit and we'll be CMOs for the rest of our lives. Because the CFO cares about sales and profit. So care about sales and profit. It's dead easy,
Yeah, and that point is very timely because as many of you know, I'm developing a program called Financial Acumen for Marketers with a Wall Street firm who trains equity analysts. So that way, marketers, CMOs, and your leaders can actually talk EBITDA and talk what drives valuations and talk what are the ways goodwill is represented on the balance sheet and have confidence in that conversation. So in line with that, your teams, the teams that you're managing today, look to you as a role model, as a pinpointing on the type of skills they need. If you had to pinpoint the 3 top must-have skills that are non-negotiable on your team in this AI-first world where speed is of the essence and ambidextrous thinking is of the essence, what would those top 3 skills be within our personas we've been talking about?
I can attempt. I would say top 3 skills. One, to Michelle's point, because, and I'm also, within my company framework, it matters. You have to have a real knowledge of marketing science and the growth model. There is a science of marketing. Some of us don't like to admit it, but knowing it and understanding the science of marketing and how to grow brands, how to drive sales, how to drive profitability, how to drive long-term value, or lifetime value, there's a science to it. So I would have people learn it and understand it because you can get lost in the data. Yeah. And if you don't know how to read the data, how to use a flywheel to do a diagnostic and understand it, you will just be spinning. And so I find that when marketers learn the growth model and learn about a flywheel and learn how to read it and analytical skills, they can leverage the data because data is nothing if you don't know how to analyze. I think the second thing that I would want people to learn is user centricity, because that skill is one we all learn. Putting yourself in the shoes of a consumer, being able to once again use that data to see through their eyes and improve their lives and add meaningful value. Not the value you want to sell them, but the value that really creates something we call mutual value. That's a skill, but you can't do that without the user centricity. I think the last one is probably humility. It's like this combination of humility and courage. you're never going to know enough about AI.
So being able to predict what your competition is going to do in the next month, year, whatever outlook is important to you, and being able to, really plan how's your reaction and how you're going to trigger bad behavior from them. So like really chess playing. Yeah. And I really think that we've been taught this. We were taught this all the time. Who, what, how, brand building framework. Yeah. But it's about predicting them and triggering them to do things that are not good for the business.
I love that.
It's a bit
That's some game theory. I like it. It's very nice. I agree with all these, and maybe I'd say curiosity. I think we want our marketers to have just that insatiable curiosity, whether it's about a new technology that's coming that they now have, or it's about our customers. So yeah, curiosity, and that's hard to teach. You have to nurture it, but I'd say curiosity for me.
Yeah, and these skills, everyone that you've mentioned, from humility to curiosity to that strategic lateral thinking mind, right, are really important across your teams and across all of our experiences. What's also very important is how you feel. Not only what you do, you can do all those things, but how do you feel working at Ulta and at Mars Pet Care and at SAS? And how you feel comes from something very, very intrinsic, not just around culture, but around what I like to sometimes call the climate of the place. What's the climate of the place? And a lot of it has to do with creating nurturing, purpose-driven sense of belonging. And in honor of Juneteenth today, I want to ask you all, what do you do to make it a place that they can call home, like you call P&G home?
I love it. Well, first of all, we know what our mission is and our purpose. We want to make beauty a force for good for all. So we're driven. Remember the good old days of P&G. We knew what our purpose and mission was. So every day we live and learn that. But another thing as well, we're all probably big advocates of being flexible working and hybrid and all that. I live in Puerto Rico, but I work in Illinois. Now, if you're a 21-year-old and you've been told you have to go to the middle of nowhere, and you have a CMO that's living her best life, her YOLO moment, you're like, no, this company's for me. So Ulta Beauty is not just a force for good for all for our guests, it's for our associates. And that we live true every day.
That's an excellent example.
I mean, I think what you described there is you're modeling the way, and I think that's what we have to do as leaders, is model the way of what the inclusive culture looks like. So that's amazing. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Come and visit.
Yeah.
Nigel, anything?
Yeah, I think, Juneteenth is about freedom, right? It's the day that the slaves actually learned that they were free, when the advertising wasn't so good back then. And so, what I would say is, for me, to be in a culture of freedom where you have the psychological safety to be your authentic self is what I believe our leaders work to do within Mars. It's something that I hold very true, but I also, to your point, if you're living your best life, if you are comfortable in your own skin and able to live your authentic self and be authentic, I think you give courage to everyone around you to do the same. Yeah. But that requires a certain psychological safety and freedom, and I believe that is required for anyone to work at the best and the top of their game, and it's something that's very important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to, go to places that you three described, right? Places that are truly inclusive, that allow you to live your best life and have flexibility and stretch your thinking and your brain to think laterally and how to outmaneuver the competition. I want to thank my amazing three panelists for bringing to life, from everything from Grand Prix to life in Puerto Rico, an example.
Come visit anytime.
An invitation. An example of how these personas can come to life. In the article, which we'll include in the follow-up, there's a quick sort of questions you can ask. Basic questions and complex questions around these 5 personas. Data virtuoso, change agent, being able to be a technology alchemist, a relationship driver, and then a finance and governance guru. And you can test yourself, 0 to 5, where do I sit? And allow you to see where you are today and say where you want to be. And use that sort of dialogue with your leaders to say, listen, I want to stretch, I want to go to that level of 5, and I want to get the experiences that Michelle and Jen and Nigel have experienced and explained to us today, to stretch myself to get a seat at the C-suite, not just a CMO, but as CEO, as a board director, and eventually as whatever else captain of industry you want to be. So I hope this panel has inspired you by our 3 illustrious leaders. We are having a recording of this available to all alumni as well, and there'll be follow-ups, and please, come with questions as we finish. Yes, go ahead.
And I just want to say one thing. Raquelle, just first, thank you for moderating. Okay. Exactly. And if you heard, Raquelle is running her own female startup, and as a woman and a woman of color, it is not easy out there. So find out what she does and support her business. Okay, so thank you. It's about supporting each other. Secondly, we're on Gary's boat, and I don't think it's an accident there's some product placement on the table. I don't know what he's trying to tell us, but make sure you say thank you to Gary for us being on his boat, and I think maybe read Day Trading Attention, because he did a great job. And then I think thirdly, because we're at the P&G alumni boat, I couldn't help but I looked out at Mathilde, who was like so groomed me and so trained me when I was in ABM, like a little cub, picked me up and cleaned me up, and taught me marketing. And she's like a godmother of marketing, and many of us wouldn't be here without her. But I would just say, this is so special to be on this boat, and none of us got up here alone to take the time to thank the people that got us here. So thank you, Mathilde, but thank all of you. So that's what I think.
Let's give it up. This was unbelievable. Thank you for stretching us today, our imagination, our love. We hope that all of you can stay for a little bit more. It looks like the weather is holding out. We've got some more food. We know you aren't shy, so make sure that you're not only seeing old friends, but that you're meeting some new ones. Thank you so much, and hope you guys can continue to come and join us, whether it's 10 o'clock to 2 in the morning, as Gary said, tonight or any other time. Our home is your home, and we can't thank you enough for this conversation and for joining us today. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.